The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any affiliated organizations, employers, or sponsors. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.
Hi Aditya, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Rajat, thank you. Yeah, cheers, Rajat Rishi, for having me. Yeah, feel privileged.
Amazing. So Aditya, actually, it's very funny that you actually are second osteopath to be on our podcast.
Yeah, I did see that.
And just wanted to ask a bit more about your background. Just expand a bit more about how you got into osteopathy.
Yeah. So I'll try to give you a bit of a short version of the story, but essentially, going to school, I didn't really know what I wanted to pursue. Um, at one point, I wanted to do marine biology or environmental science. So, like, I really had no idea. And at this point, I was like about 16. So I was doing work experience during my half term, end of term, all that sort of stuff at various places. And eventually, I went to England for studies to do my A levels. And over there, like I guess a careers person suggested that look, maybe maybe looking into sports therapy could be good because my grades weren't too good. So I thought I wanted to get into physio or something, to maybe work with a team or at that time when you're young, that's what you're thinking about in that space. So anyway, end up like going for sports therapy, which you could use as almost I guess a stepping stone to get into physio. Anyway, so ended up doing that at Northampton. That's where I met Adesh, and that was an awesome 3 years. But again, like I think I probably worked hard in the third year, and the first and second year was a bit how you going, and then so then anyway I finished with like all right grades there for my sports therapy bachelor's. And then I came back home. So I came back home to Kenya and did some work experience in a government hospital, so Coast General Hospital in Mombasa. And that was a great experience. But then I also realized that I probably don't want to work in that hospital environment either. So, but during this time, I was applying to unis for physio, like all over, like South Africa, Canada, England again, even though I didn't really want to go back to England, so, Australia, and honestly didn't get in anywhere. But we have a family friend in Perth, and she is an osteopath, or at least was at the time. And she was like, "Look, if you, if you like working with people, like working with your hands, think about pursuing osteo." So yeah, that's what I did. I had a bit of a research, a bit of a Google to see what it was, because at that time we didn't really have any osteos in Mombasa, at least in my hometown. I'm sure in Nairobi there was, but I didn't really know too much about it. Did some research, and I was like, yeah, let's go. So obviously now I wanted to go to Australia because that's where I got accepted, and um, chatted to my parents, and it's a long way away, and then you're going away again for studies and all that. But essentially, yeah, long story short, managed to get here, and it's been great ever since. Um, from the time like we started going to uni, going to the classes, and all the content that they were teaching, I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, now I'm in my fifth year of osteo, and it's going pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, amazing. So I just want to touch on one because you said you studied sports therapy first.
Mm.
What are some of the similarities between the two, and what are some of the differences between the two?
Yeah, good question. So some of the similarities would be things like a lot of the hands-on stuff was maybe not as advanced if you put it that way, but a lot of this hands-on stuff is quite similar. So you have like a bit of sports massage, bit of different types of stretching techniques. We did a couple of like adjustments, like manipulation, but with sports therapy, that particular element, that manipulation element, was quite like basic. So you do the mid back and the low back as well. One type of adjustment for each of those. So in terms of the hands-on stuff, that was the similarity. There's a bit of exercise-based stuff there as well within the sports therapy course, but I'd say the differences lay in the theory aspect. So osteopathy is a lot more sort of in-depth anatomy, physiology, common conditions like pathophysiology, which is essentially the why an injury is happening, the anatomy behind it as well. Then you go into the biomechanics as well as to if there's this motion or movement, someone's playing football and you Achilles sort of tears would be somewhat common in football or soccer, and so when that happens, what's actually happening within the joints. So you get I suppose greater understanding as to what's happening within the body with osteopathy. Yeah.
What else? I get some of the things that took you by surprise when learning about osteopathy, because it's a lot more detailed about the body and about certain mechanics of the body. Is there something that sort of you weren't expecting when you pursued that field?
Probably. Like we learned about a lot of common conditions, not just so. Osteopathy essentially you're dealing with the musculoskeletal system, so muscles, bones, joints, the nervous system as well. So coming into the course, one might think that you're gonna deal with elbow pain or neck pain or low back pain, but we learned a lot about cardiovascular system, some of the common conditions that happen there, signs of heart failure, all those kinds of things. We learned about some neurological conditions like Parkinson's, metabolic conditions. Obviously, you got your diabetes and things like that. So we learned a fair bit about, which I really enjoyed as well. So just the whole systems and how all the body systems, and how you can how it looks essentially when things go wrong within various systems within the body. But the rationale for that was probably that when someone comes in with certain signs and symptoms, you may think that it's a musculoskeletal issue, but actually you probably should get them to refer them back to their GP, because they probably need to either do XYZ scans or blood tests, or investigate further essentially as to what's causing their symptoms, because either they're not getting better with treatment, or their symptoms are getting worse, or something just doesn't quite add up. Sometimes it's a bit of a gut feel as to, oh geez, like this, something just doesn't fit quite right here. Either maybe it's something within their family history. So that's the relevance as to why they taught us all that kind of stuff. But I think those are the main areas where I was like, oh, I didn't expect this to be this in this much detail, so yeah, common conditions of the systems and neurological stuff as well. Yeah.
Okay. And you say you have your own clinic in
Yeah.
Australia. So do you specialize in a certain area, or is it sort of more general?
No, I would say it's more general, more general. So at this stage, I'm just trying to, because it's pretty early days for my business. I'm just essentially trying to get people through the door. Like from what I enjoy treating, I would enjoy treating like the active population, if you put it that way. Because I mean, my I guess clinical business is set up in a gym. Um, So again, that's that active
Oh, it's
population.
so inside the gym, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's
okay.
a pretty cool gym. Check out the Insta. It's Iron Viking Gym. So a pretty cool gym. So the downstairs is the gym floor. So you got your, machines, free weights, all that sort of stuff. They do sort of high rocks type workouts there as well, sessions. And then upstairs there's a cardio room as well. And then my room is also upstairs. So it's just like a pretty cool space, lots of sunlight, all that kind of thing. So no, it's an awesome space to work in.
I did just check out your Instagram page. Found a video of
Oh
you
yeah,
on that.
oh yeah,
It's actually a pretty sick gym. It's got a lot of a lot. Yeah.
yeah. It's awesome gym.
And I mean that now that you mention it, it's a great idea to have an osteo clinic and a gym both side by side. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so convenient for both
a-
parties.
absolutely. Yeah. So I can just sort of train there whenever I want, and then in terms of with patients, if I want to, take them through a couple of rehab exercises that I can't quite sort of show them or demonstrate with them, um, in the treatment room. And then also look, a few of my patients have been coming from the gym, so it's like they have that access to them. So I'm like, okay, let's go down. We'll go through a couple of exercises that you can do either for warm up or like a bit of an activation exercise as well before your um, gym session, essentially. So yeah, it's a good environment to work in for sure.
It's a really good approach.
Mm.
Like unique, yeah, from your style.
Yeah. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and through this experience, have you learned a lot about like gym technique in general? So, because obviously, there are a lot of common issues that happen to people who go to the gym. Generally, back, knee. Me and Rishi can attest to
Even
both
even
the
even
issues.
area like the shoulders. Like when people do bench press and
Shoulders.
dumbbells. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you go about that?
Yeah, so look, a couple of common things that people come in with are, um, you know, let's say shoulder pain, like you mentioned before. But they'll mention to me that, oh, like this shoulder pain is just not getting better. I'm training. I'm doing the couple of rehab things that you told me to do or asked me to do. Um, but and then you ask them to sort of demonstrate how they're doing that movement, and either they're really sort of like flaring their arms to the side, so you just ask them to sort of close off a little bit, so that you get into that sort of the way your shoulder blade sits. If that's your back, and this is your shoulder blade, it doesn't necessarily sit flush like at that position. There's a slight angle there. So, you ask them to move within that, scapular plane, or um, let's say if they, even something as simple as adjusting the seat height on a pec deck machine puts far less stress through that shoulder. So obviously this doesn't apply to everyone and everyone's, what their complaint is. But yeah, those are just a couple of examples. So for sure, like talking to people about how you're going about the exercise, or even may not even be like an issue. Maybe they're just not, warming up that particular region, because sometimes you're short of time, so you just come in and you just like bang, 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 and you get out. But to be honest, the trainers, if they're someone who's got a trainer and they're working with them pretty closely, they'll get them to warm up and um, you know um, get that sort of blood flow within that region, um, like effectively, get them prepared to exercise. Um, but sometimes people who don't, they just come in and just get through their exercise, go home, go for dinner and all that sort of stuff. So um, I think sometimes it's the people who don't warm up or like get their neurological system primed before they do any big lifts or compound lifts, essentially, and they feel small.
Ignorance is the ego of youth, you can say, because
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
I've been guilty of that as well. Like going for runs or going to the gym. I mean, couldn't really be asked to warm up, to be honest.
Mm.
Even if I had the time, I just like it was just, and then you just end up with something later on, and then it's sort of like your lesson learned, and then you then start to warm up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Aditya.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to ask you one question because it's like people would just when they're getting into exercises or they're progressing in the exercises, they may know a lot of knowledge, they may be progressing quite well, but would you advise people to say see specialists such as yourself prior to engaging in a workout routine to best optimize the workout to best efficiency, meaning that they show you that this is the workout routine, be it say chest day, shoulder day, and you just run through how their motion or movement is, and you can prime the movement to the best possible rhythm for their own physique and body, so that way they get like the most out of their gym routine, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like a nutritionist, right? They give you exactly as per what would be best for your body.
Mm. Yeah, like look, oh, first of all, I'm not a specialist, but um, yeah, look, I think if you have like a good trainer, I think if you're new in the gym, I think that's their sort of realm, right? Like you go into the gym, like you want to, and you're paying a membership as well. So you want to be able to be comfortable to ask someone to show you like proper technique and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like by all means, I think if someone were to come in and go through discuss a couple of things with me, 100% would be able to talk about optimal ways to warm up or prime your body before you go through some exercises, or even just I'd give someone, especially if there's someone who's not necessarily been involved in any sort of exercise per se, either ever or for a long period of time, we'd go through a couple of pretty um, easy exercises that you just, for instance, a variation of the clam, so you're just learning how to fire that glute, so create that mind to muscle connection. um, Different things like even just a sit to stand, just coaching someone through a squat, like where do you want to feel that tension within the foot, like either like screwing out your feet so that you can really activate through the glutes, so you get a good sort of explosive sort of push up when you're going through that squat. So um, these are those are that's how I would go about it personally. But typically what happens is, like, if someone was to say, right, I want to get into like a fitness routine, there I would say they would typically go to a gym, and then they'd be coached through a couple of movements. That's, yeah, generally how it goes. But yeah, I hope that does that answer your question.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
easy.
I also wanted to ask. So I've just see your Instagram, and I've seen you using the cupping method on one of the patients. So can you tell us a bit about that? Because I find that very interesting. What's actually the purpose of that?
100%. So cupping essentially it's a pretty useful tool. It just helps to improve a bit of mobility, flexibility of the muscles, joints, and I would say if there's any sort of like inflammation within that area, just draws that, or blood pooling, draws it to the top, and just gets flushed out through the lymphatic system. But essentially, look, it's similar to when you do massage, stretching, all those kinds of techniques. But this just offers like that vertical um, pressure. So that negative pressure that creates the vacuum, chuck that on there. It's just another way to stretch that tissue. But also, what I tend to do is I just get them to move depending on the site of where I've put the cups, and if it's not too uncomfortable for the patient, I'll get them to move their arm or move their calf or like ankle, sorry, to try and get it either a little bit more of a stretch or a bit more out of that sort of cup, to really try and get some blood flow through there. Because if there's an increased blood flow, that means there's to that particular area, there's increased oxygen, nutrients. These are all good things for healing. Flushes out any metabolites, which is again good for healing. So yeah, I think cupping can be quite helpful.
So what exactly is being done there? So is it the cup and then you're lighting a flame?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways that you go about it. So you can use there's these plastic ones where you have like a, sorry, I don't have it here, so I can't show you, but it's like these plastic ones that you can get, and you attach like a suction gun onto it, and you just pop that on the area that you need to do it, and like press the trigger, and it sucks the air out, right? So that creates a vacuum. The one that you're looking at is with the flame. So that's one of the treatment modalities, I guess, from traditional Chinese medicine practices, where you have a glass cup and you can use the flame to create the vacuum, right? So essentially, what you do is um, put some like oil on there, so it's easy to remove essentially. So you chuck some oil, heat the cup up, so you light the flame, heat the cup up, just surround the cup with the flame, and then just pretty quickly just pop that onto the skin, and then that because there's a vacuum there, it draws the skin up.
So do you then leave the cup on for a while, or
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, leave it
Yeah.
on for a little bit. So it depends on, I guess, on the person, and then also you can visibly see the response. So if it's starting to get like quite red, that's essentially that's what we want, right? So
So
then
is that
then
usually minutes, hours?
oh, nah, just a few seconds, to be honest, because you're
All
doing
right.
other
Oh
stuff
wow.
as well.
Okay.
You're doing other stuff as well. You're doing like, a bit of massage, bit of like a bit of a stretch, like an MET. You're doing a couple of adjustments here and there, a bit of needling as well. Then you also want to go through a bit of rehab with them, and typically a session is about 30 minutes. So you have like a small amount of time to take a good like a history, so understand what's going on. If they've been coming to see you for a while, yeah, you're gonna take what a 5 minute history if need be, see how they're going, almost like a progress report, assess them, see where the improvements are, and then sort of that's when your treatment goes on. So now you have like about 20 minutes left of that consult, and then in the end you want to give them some lifestyle advice, some um, you know exercises and all that sort of stuff. So you like really only keep them on for a couple of, and they can be quite tight. So I would, that might be a little bit uncomfortable. So you don't want to leave them on too long. Yeah.
And Aditya, what about this what you mentioned, and also massaging, like general massages to the body? Is it wise to do this and then go to the gym after? Because I've seen instances where people say it disrupts their movement, like it relaxes the muscles too much.
Mm, yeah. Look, I think at the end it's a personal feel thing. Like someone might feel a bit quite relaxed. I've had uh, ages ago when I started working, I had a patient who'd have his wife drive him to the treatments because after he'd just feel so sleepy, so he didn't want to drive. That's not everybody, so that's what I mean. Like it's like a personal choice, but from an injury standpoint, it's not like you're going to, you know, re-aggravate something. Obviously, there's if someone's pretty acute, I'd probably and they've sprained their ankle, I'd probably say maybe squats is not a good idea. But then you can go and do some upper body stuff. Does that make sense? So uh, from a injury standpoint, probably not going to affect the body too much after an osteo sort of session and then going to the gym. But it's more of a feel thing, I'd say.
And then, yeah, I'm guessing you yourself are quite an active person. So has the way that you've like, I mean, has just the study of osteopathy and even like sports therapy, has that influenced the way that you have gone about training or even just about general life?
um, Look, I'm trying to be a bit active. Uh, I've been it's I've been pretty bad, if I'm honest. So I'm trying to get that gym consistency up and getting into running slowly as well. So I'd say it definitely makes you a bit more acutely aware that, oh, look, I'm not, as active as I probably should be, and then make those changes. Um, But in terms of how I train and stuff, I guess so. Like you become a bit more mindful. Like you realize that you don't need to, push the body too much. You understand also how your neurological system and all the other systems within the hormones, how they're impacted by exercise as well. So I think it makes you, at least even on my non least consistent weeks, maybe I'll try to do something, even if it's just go for a walk, once in a week. So do something active, because it just has a huge impact on your mood, your like, and then that has an impact on everything else, from work to life to relationships and all that sort of stuff. So look, I think sometimes it's easy to be hard on yourself, especially in a busy period in your life. So with work and things, I think even just doing those small things every now and then can be of benefit, I think.
Aditya, on one point, I wanted to refer back to actually Rinal, which is the other osteopath session we had in the
Yeah.
podcast, when she mentioned how bad posture arises from literally sitting in one position or staying in a certain position and posture for a very long time without moving.
Mm,
So, are you able to elaborate as well from your experience on that? What you said as well, for like why
yeah.
bad posture comes.
If I'm not mistaken, I think once she said there's no such thing as bad posture. It's just when you don't move. Where if you're standing for long periods of time, it's not ideal. If you're sitting for long periods of time, it's not ideal. Is that right? Like I think I got that right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah, bad posture is same posture, something like that. I forgot the quote she
Yeah, the
used,
same
but
posture.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I totally agree with that. I think look, it's it's interesting because sometimes people come in and ask me that, like, or they say, oh, I've got such bad posture, um and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's true. Obviously, everybody knows we want to move more, but essentially the brain wants to keep you alive. So the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis regularly, it's just feeding that feedback loop into the brain that, okay, um, just for example, Rishi's gonna wake up at this time, he's gonna go to the gym, and then he's gonna go to work, and he's gonna sit at his desk and do his work from 9 till 12 o'clock, go for lunch, come back, and then 1 till 5 he's gonna be in that same position again. So what that would involve, then you're at the computer, your shoulders roll in a little bit, and then you often our like keyboard and mouse and everything is like a little bit further away. So it just, all those kinds of activities, movements, they encourage us to be rounded, right? So I don't necessarily, as I agree with Renault, because I don't necessarily think that, oh, you got bad posture per se, or someone has bad posture. It's just the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis that our body finds, okay, this is comfortable, this is easy. We know. That's my thoughts on
So,
it.
so could you recommend? I think something that's affecting everyone nowadays, which is the issues of the neck when it comes to because of phones. I think that's the general situation. Even sitting on a toilet and reading a phone,
Yeah.
like issues like that, which then causes a lot of people's necks to be slanting. So, just like
Mm,
generally from your advice, what would you recommend people to do, just to implement in their lifestyles on a day-to-day basis? That can help
stop
them.
scrolling. um yeah. Oh, look, honestly, if yeah, obviously we all do it. Like we all look down at our phone and stuff like that. But I think um, the most straightforward thing to do would be to try and, like, if you're not doing something for work or whatnot on your phone or whatever, then maybe try to look up, and like if you go out for a walk or something, maybe don't take your phone and scroll at the same time. Like just look up and take it in. It's difficult, but certain things that there's a couple of exercises that you can do to try and offset that, right? So, um, essentially, it's hard to describe it because obviously you guys can see it, but other people won't be able to. But let's say you you got your bed. You lay horizontally. You lay on your front. You know, horizontally across your bed, where your shoulders are on the edge of the bed essentially, and then you can just try and keep your eyes sort of perpendicular to the ground. So you're laying on your front, so your eyes are perpendicular to the ground. Essentially what we're trying to do is work these sort of back of the neck muscles. So different variations of those kinds of exercises, you know, stretching through here, through these front muscles here, because when we look down like that, essentially, and you got your phone there, these muscles to the front here, they all sort of contract. So trying to stretch through the can be good tools to have in your back pocket, essentially. And then also maybe taking a break. So I'll use work as an example because, you know, we all use mobiles and computers and stuff for work a fair bit. So if you're doing a particular task, maybe it's not always easy to say, okay, half an hour, 45 minutes. So maybe just say, okay, I'm going to do this task, finish it out, or you know, do it to the best of my ability, at least maybe to the hour, and then get up, have a walk around, do those couple of stretches, you know, stretch through the traps. Everybody knows how to do that. Through the front of the neck, bit of rotation. All these things, all these things can be contributing factor to you not having as much neck discomfort. But yeah, as long as you sort of that aggravating factor is there, and let's say that's looking at your phone, as long as you're doing that, you're gonna have an element of sort of strain through there for sure. So when you're trying to manage an injury, you're trying to, yes, increase the amount of relieving factors there, but you're also actively trying to reduce the amount of aggravating factors. So yeah, that's my sort of thoughts behind that one.
Nice, nice. And okay, I also want to ask: are you the main fixer, the main treatment person for your friend group as well, like when all is for us?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you know, sometimes they'd ask me to help them out, but I think I live a little bit far from them or work a little bit far from a lot of them, so I get to escape them sometimes that way. But yeah, like whenever they really need it, yeah, I'm always happy to help them.
Right, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And then I also wanted to ask because obviously you have started your own clinic. Were you working at another clinic before you started your own?
So I still am.
Oh, as in
Yeah.
oh really? Okay,
So I
okay,
have
okay.
two jobs.
Wow, wow.
Yeah. So essentially, one of them I work like an hour outside Melbourne. So I live in Melbourne, um, and that is like I think door to door 94 k's away from home. So
Oh
I
my God.
work out there for a few days in the week, and then I work at mine for the rest of the time.
Okay, and I mean I don't want to have this podcast reveal anything, but I mean are you planning to just do full time on your own clinic, or I mean you don't have to
Yeah, for
explain it, but
sure, for sure. I think that was the plan when starting it. Is look, it is a long way away. So, but it's a nice place to work. It's a good environment. I enjoy the people who come there. I've been there for quite a while, so some patients who come through are like we have good chats. You get to really know people in this job, and then but as much as I do like it, it is quite far, and I do want to continue staying in Melbourne. So ideally, the way it will go, or is I'll just continue adding days to my time in Melbourne, and then reduce the amount of days that I work there. I'd still be happy to work there, you know, for just because I enjoy the environment. For me, you know, in the future, like a day a week or something like that, or a day and a half or something, because it's a cool environment. But yeah, for sure, ideally would be to prioritize my thing here.
Nice, nice. So that leads nicely into what I wanted to ask was
Yeah.
actually even Renal said the same thing because she's currently working at a clinic as well, but she also wanted to, at some point, plan to start her own clinic. So tell us about that, like the decision to take that jump to start something of your own. Because I mean, regardless of what line, what occupation you're in, that thing
Mm.
of starting something by yourself is quite courageous. So tell us about the thinking behind that, and then sort of, I guess, how you've gone about it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think I've been pretty lucky with where I've worked. So I've worked in, apart from my thing here in Melbourne, worked in even further away. So I was living out there. So I was working in this town called Paynesville. Um, and like the clinic owner there, my boss there, Maddie, she was awesome. So she, from the way she ran it, it was just pretty straightforward, simple. She was also growing that business at the time. She was very fair, um, and really helpful. But the reason I left there is because it was just too far from everything. All my friends were in Melbourne and all that sort of stuff. So then I was just talking to my friend on the phone, and he was working at this place in Warragul where I currently work now. And he was like, "Look, we are, if you're thinking of leaving Paynesville, we're thinking of getting someone on board here in Warragul." And then I also had a look at a couple of other clinics in the city because I was planning on being based in the city. Um, but long story short, I just really enjoyed the vibe there, and it was good. So I decided to look. I'll just make a sacrifice and do the commute. Um, but yeah, so the reason that I told you that is because um, especially in my first year when I talked to some of my friends who we just come out of uni together, and I was loving it. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I'm seeing heaps of patients, and I'm enjoying just the way the work feels." And some of them were not having that good experience. Some of them were not enjoying um, the work or the work environment, or um, you know, and it's not ideal. So I just wanted to, firstly, I suppose, be in a situation where I can create an environment where I myself like working. I can sort of do things on my own terms. I can, for instance, work in a gym, which I like. The fact that I can just finish work and then just either, as long as it's not too late, I can just finish work, or midway through my day, I can just go to the gym, pop home, have a quick bite to eat, or have a shower, and then come back, or have that flexibility essentially. And then if I'm lucky enough to have a situation where I am, I have a few more patients than I can handle, then I can get somebody else on board, and then afford them that opportunity of having a good work environment, working throughout the day on your terms, kind of thing. As long as you good, respectful, helping people, and all those kinds of things. So I think that's the long and short of why I wanted to start my own thing, is just have an environment where that I that I enjoy going to work to every day.
And I mean, the baiting say was it a bit tough in terms of like getting people to come? Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'd assume that you may have had like a set of patients that had come to you in your previous place, and then I know, does that change when you start your own clinic?
Yeah. So essentially, are you talking about? Sorry, just to clarify, are you talking about people who come from my other job to this job in terms of as patients?
Yeah, as in, let's say like people would go to your old job and they want to see you specifically, and
Mm.
then let's say now that you have started your own thing, do they still go to the old clinic, or are they more sort of like loyal, quote unquote, to you, and so will they come especially to you?
Yeah, now look, like I said, it's 95 k's away, so, or 94 k's away, so it's a long way. So it's a totally new set of patients essentially who come through. They might have, family members or friends or something in the city who they're like, oh, go to Adi, he's good, or I think he's good at least. That's what they would say. Um, so yeah, it's essentially it's a bit of a mission. So where I currently am, I've been there since September only last year. So I'm still sort of in that building phase essentially. But you, I guess a bit of it is word of mouth. Like people come through the door from the gym to start with. And I play cricket as well, so some of my team members have come and supported me as well. Get them through get patients through the GP clinics. So you either get in touch somehow, either go face to face if you can and they have time, or you just I was like, man, I'll be waiting for ages if I wait for every GP clinic to give me the availability. So I just send them all emails or just chat to the reception. Um, those kinds of things. Try to get involved, I suppose, in the community. Like the other day, my gym um, had a hike that we went on, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm jumping on that." Like every opportunity that comes your way, you just gotta say yes, I suppose, to just get your name out there. Because over here, like no one will know anything about me, but in Warragul, maybe one or two people will be like, "Oh, yeah, I've been to see this person," and go and see them. So they're trying to help their friends essentially get some help for their neck or whatever.
And what's the sort of like awareness of osteopathy in Australia, for example? I mean, because growing up, I'll say like I didn't really know. I never heard about osteopathy, and only something I heard about like recently through our other friend.
Yeah,
And usually the most common term is physiotherapy.
yeah.
So what's the attitude with osteopathy there? Are people quite aware of it in Australia, or like wherever you're staying?
It's growing. I would say it's growing. So, um, I would say the most Australia-wide and even Victoria, which is the state that I'm in, like Australia-wide, even physio would be the main thing, right? Um, Physio, and then I think Cairo was more of a thing here, and maybe probably still is. But historically, in the recent past, definitely it's been physio, Cairo, then Osteos. Um, and when I started studying, so that my like first, so 2016 was my first year studying osteo here, and I think there was a stat that there was 96,000 physios, registered physios Australia wide, 20,000 chiros, and there was 2,500 osteos Australia wide. Um, and now there's at this point in time, I think there's three schools which teach osteo in Australia. So that's two in Melbourne and one in New South Wales, if I'm not mistaken. And so each year, people would come through the course and get through and whatnot. So I'd say that number would have increased for sure. But yeah, I'd say within Victoria and particularly Melbourne, it's quite saturated. So there's quite, out of however many total number of osteos there would be in Australia, I would say majority would be in and around Melbourne or just Victoria as a whole. So yeah, it is increasing, but you'll see like people come in like, oh yeah, I've seen this chiro for years. I've seen this. I used to go to the physio, blah blah blah. So definitely someone has come into contact or knows someone who has been to physios and chiros before prior to osteos, but now it's slowly starting to increase.
Okay. Do you go to like any like medical conventions or anything, and they're just like physios and chiros and osteos and everyone's just like eyeing each other?
Um, yeah, I guess so. Sometimes there's some because we have to do um, continued professional development, so a certain number of hours each year. So you at some point you're going to go to a course, and there's like all sorts of people there. I don't personally care. Like, yeah, cool, whatever. But I think you
Yeah, are
just
the physios like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are,
I
right?
guess you end up gravitating to your group, don't you? But I have no idea. I'm half the time in my own world.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And then also, so like in starting your own clinic, are you able to focus on just the osteo part of things and just the treatment part of things, or are you also being, as a result, having to do other, handle other issues like either admin or other, like kind of like employee rifts or whatever it is, like basically things that aren't just your, related to treatment,
No
essentially.
doubt. Yeah, you're doing marketing, so you're doing your social media stuff, or chatting to people, or going to, like I said before, GP clinics, local businesses, just trying to sell yourself a little bit. You're saying, look, this is what I can do for you. Trying to offer like free sessions here. Look, come and see what I do. I can, do for you. So you're doing that sort of marketing aspect as well. You're doing your admin stuff, so you're doing all your payments, billing, all those kinds of things. You're doing, yeah, and you obviously got to take care and maintain the place as well. So all that stuff too. So you wear a lot of hats, I suppose.
Have you ever had like people? Because obviously you mentioned marketing, and you have a presence on Instagram. Have you ever had like people contact you saying, "Oh, can you give us a free thing, and then we'll promote your page, or can you promote our product? It's supposed to help treatment or whatever."
Uh, Not often, but actually just today I had a meeting. Like this old mate, just this guy, just messaged me the other day on Instagram, and he's like, "Hey, look, I've got this magnesium oil. I want you to, I'm just contacting health professionals who would be likely to, use it or recommend it, and so on and so forth." So I just had a meeting with him today, and just had a coffee and a chat about it. So I'll he's given me a sample, so I'll give it a go, and if I think it's good and doesn't irritate my skin or something like that, I'll get in contact with him. But yeah, I'm not going to sell something that's not good. I think it's not me.
Yeah. So we potentially have like a first in on our podcast about this new magnesium oil that could potentially, be very good for treatment, right? So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
for
if it
yeah.
works, if it works. So if it doesn't
If
work,
it
then
works, then we'll can it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you
Uh,
guys used those kinds of things like magnesium and those? Yeah, I mean, you guys sound like you're quite fit. I know Rishi loves going to the gym.
yeah, I actually haven't used any of those products, to be honest. I mean, the only stuff I've used is like the very basic, like deep heat and stuff like that. I mean, I'm also a bit hesitant to use random things that claim to treat your body. And to be honest, like touch wood, I've not really had anything that big where I felt the need or felt that desperate to use something different. So, but I don't know, but maybe Rishi is different.
Um, I want to actually I want your opinion on we discussed this with Robert Wafula during one of the bodybuilding episodes, talking about food supplements, not steroids, but like I I take multivitamins, creatine, protein powder, um, BCAs. I feel they generally just do help quite a bit, even with day-to-day working. But some things I wanted your thought on is like calcium tablets, probiotics, uh, omega-3 tablets, just those few supplements. Because like even generally when you just check out on Google, top few food supplements used, sorry, top few supplements used.
Um.
Uh, yeah.
So, um, I guess what's your um reason for taking calcium?
in that, I think when we discussed once with Robert, it was more like he wasn't taking it, but he said a lot of bodybuilders take it to help strengthen their bones. I don't know the myth, if there's a myth why people are taking it, or it's just like, okay, these guys are taking it the big, so let me also go ahead and take it. But from a professional standpoint, the actual why should you take these?
Yeah, calcium does help with bones and things like that. But look, unless you you have some sort of calcium deficiency in your bloods and things like that, I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Calcium wouldn't be the first thing that I end up taking. I probably, because often if people are low on calcium, maybe they'd be, you know, low on vitamin D, because I think vitamin D helps with absorption of calcium. So I would potentially take vitamin D, but it's nice and sunny um, in Kenya, so I don't think you'd be low on vitamin D, that's for sure. But yeah, are you talking about supplements in general, or just like protein supplements? Like what are you? What's the main thing?
Just general food supplements, protein supplements. Be it for work, be it for gym. Like,
Mm.
how many can you take, and how often? Can it just generally help you?
Yeah, I think supplements are helpful. Ultimately, it's important to understand that food is the main thing that we want to invest our time and effort in. So having good balanced diet, so your proteins, carbs, fats, um, having your micronutrients as well. So even your things like fruits, veggies, they're all important. Um, but then, like if you like yourself, you're training a fair bit, you've got a decent training routine. Depends on your goals as well. Sometimes you want you're not able to potentially get as much protein in via food. So having a protein supplement, a protein shake will help with that, recovery and rebuilding of that muscle tissue which you've broken down in the gym. um, so that's the benefit of using something like that. I think even taking, yeah, creatine is great as well, and it helps with recovery. And another thing that I've been taking is like a vitamin B complex as well, which just helps. I feel like it helps me with a lot of things, and just also just that mental clarity, as well, and then just like a gut repair sort of formula too. Because I think, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if your gut is not working optimally and if you're not absorbing all the nutrients, well, um, that then also that has an impact on your brain and focus and clarity as well. If you feel sluggish, if you so like I said, I think it's important to focus on your diet, because then if, let's say, not saying that you're doing it, but for instance, if there's someone who's eating heaps of refined carbs, sugars, muffins, donuts, ice creams, things like that, you're going to have insulin spikes. You're gonna have, insulin resistance essentially, and that's not ideal. Um, and then you're going to have low energy levels, and then you're just going to feel flat most of the day. So that's why I say that, like, the food that you eat and the quality of it, that's important. um, and then supplements after that, yeah, that's what it is. It's a supplement, right? So you can have that to to boost whatever you're doing with your day-to-day diet, and then help with the recovery, like yourself, if you're training at the gym. Does that
Lovely,
answer your
lovely.
question?
It's pretty detailed. I'm not gonna lie. I
Mm.
mean, it's good. That's good.
Yeah, cool.
Great, great. Richard, do you have any other question from your side? I don't think I have anything else from me.
No, no, no. Actually, just one last one would be, how do you keep on top of new information always being researched in the world? And yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because there's always something new coming out. Um, Look, a couple of things. I think one thing is, I'm having chats with people. So people who are more experienced than myself in my industry. So I'm pretty lucky. I work with some pretty intelligent dudes and ladies as well. So pretty intelligent people. So if I'm stuck with something or if I don't understand something, I just ask them and they'll probably, give me a summary of it pretty quickly or help me to understand it in a different way. That's one. Two is if you're really stuck, then just read an article, see if you can get like a new one of the later articles on a particular topic. Which, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't do that all the time, but that's a great way to do it. And then going for courses as well, because people who conduct those courses would have like the latest of information, I suppose. And then the other thing is Chat GPT, AI. Like you can ask it a lot of things and it'll tell you. And I don't think there's shame in using it. I think it's a useful tool. Um, it saves you doing a Google search. Like if you're gonna go on Google, you have to sift through five, all these sorts of bits and pieces of information. Is it a good link? Is it trustworthy information and things like that? Or if you're just going through your articles and things like that, yeah, you're gonna have to do a fair bit of work. Whereas something like Chat GPT is gonna synthesize it for you within like 5 seconds. So yeah, I think that those are just a couple of ways of I try to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I think that definitely brings me to the end of my question. That was good one as well.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. Actually, we can go on to our final segment.
Yeah, definitely. So simply, Aditya, here is just a chilled out, 5 to 7 questions. I'll ask a few, Rajat will ask a few. Just something out of work, just something different,
Yeah.
Rapid fire questions. So, yeah, I'll start with the first question.
Mm-hmm.
What is one book you would recommend to our viewers out there?
Look, I'm not too much of a reader,
Let's
but
change it. Let's change it up. We can say movie.
nah,
Okay, one
I'll
movie.
say a book. I've read a couple. Um, I think Start with Why was an awesome book that I read. It's by Simon Sinek.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
have you
not
heard of
heard of
it?
that one. No.
So it's
Is he the
essentially,
Simon? Is he the guy with the glasses?
yeah.
Okay. I've not
He's
heard the
so
book.
interesting. Like so, he's got a few. He's got Leaders Eat Last, Start with Why, Infinite Game, or Infinite Games, and Find Your Why as well. So he's got a few books, and I think Start with Why is quite interesting because he, um, I think it's like why is at the root. So why you're doing something, whether it's a job or a business or pursuing something like some studies or whatever. Why, then how you're going to do it and what you're going to do in order to get it. So he uses examples within the book of a variety of companies which have been successful. So something like even Southwest Airlines, which their principle was the less amount of time that the plane is on the ground, the more money you're making. And I think they had a turnover time of 30 minutes or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, where the plane would land, offload, get cleaned, and then on board, and then flying out again. Apple talks about Apple. So all these. So I think it's quite an interesting book for people to read.
Cool. Yeah, Rajat, you can answer the thing.
All right. I just want to refer back to something you mentioned. You mentioned you played cricket, so I want to ask who's your favorite cricketer of all time?
Ha. Jacques Callis,
Oh yeah. In
best
my
cricketer.
opinion, the best cricketer of all time, for sure.
Who?
He is definitely the
Jacques.
best cricket player of all time.
Yeah, 13,000 test runs. He's got what did he have? 203, over 300 wickets, average of
Yeah.
55. I think his average was higher than Tendulkar's from
Yeah.
batting, and a better, or maybe just a little bit worse bowling average than Zaheer Khan. So that's a pretty solid cricketer there. I think best to ever do
Yeah.
it.
I agree. Very nice.
Mm.
Very nice. All right. Question number 3 would be, what is a hobby you'd have outside of work? Something different.
Good question. Jeez. I would say cricket. I enjoy playing cricket, but I'll try choose something else. Hobby outside work. I think by the end of the week I'm so exhausted. I think I just if I can pick uh, binging a show on Netflix or something like that, I'll pick that as a hobby.
Yeah, fair
Great.
enough. That's cool. That's cool.
Leads perfectly into my next question, which is: do you have a show that you can recommend to us?
Oh, yeah. You have you heard of that guy Harlan Coben? Is that author? He's an author. He's written books, but Netflix have produced a lot of shows from his books. So it's like they're like almost like a murder mystery kind of thing, but a bit of a thriller. I would say it's more of a thriller. So it's like The Stranger, Stay Close, those kinds of check them out. I would say it's really good.
Nice. Sounds interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Nice. So the next question would be a bit deep, something different, if you don't mind. So, what's one failure you have had, if you want to share it, but more importantly, how have you handled this failure to keep moving forward?
Failure. Um, failure. I
Or
don't
a
know.
setback?
I don't know if I've had like. It's hard, eh? I think I was just like pretty terrible at school, to be honest, in terms of grades. I just didn't understand how my brain works, how my brain absorbs information. And I think that was probably down to the fact that I didn't really have something that I was working towards. So I didn't know that I wanted to be an osteopath back then, and I probably didn't know what I needed to do to get to that point. So I just got pretty average, grades at school, and I didn't. Then that made me think like I didn't really know where I'm going to end up. So, but I think that the way I just dealt with it is like it is what it is. Okay, fine. Like eventually, I got into sports therapy, and I think that was something that was quite helpful. At least I had a target, and then again, like in a sense, I guess I failed. Like I didn't get into physio, which is what I wanted to do, but I think that was in the end turned out to be a blessing because I'm so happy in terms of where I am at this point, not uh, from a standpoint of lifestyle, from what I'm doing, those kinds of you know uh, points. So in terms of how that the setback would be not being great at school, not having too much of a ambition or idea of where I want to go. But I think the way to I got over that or push past it is just to keep going. Just just go through with it. Like you don't know what's in store for you on the other side. So it kind of sucks at the time and you don't really know what you're doing. But in the end you push through and you find something, you make something of whatever is there, what you have access to, I suppose.
Cool. 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 That's good.
Okay. So, the question for me is: what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Jenny, don't stop believing.
Nice.
Nice, classic. Very good,
Mm,
very good.
yeah.
That's actually a really good one. And then, yeah, just the last question from me, just something chilled out. If you had one superpower, any, which one would it be and why?
Um, what's that word? Teleporting, for sure.
That's
Nice.
yeah.
Teleporting.
I think someone else said that as well. I don't remember who, but yeah,
But
it's
can I
quite a good
assume
one.
that your teleporting would cut out your daily commute to work?
Yeah,
If it does.
definitely. Oh man,
Yeah.
I'd be staying in Kenya if that was the case. Stay in Kenya, teleport to Australia, live the
Honestly, man.
best life, I think.
So Aditya, bonus question from me actually. What is one quote that you really resonate with?
So I think probably something that I was thinking about lately, or have been thinking about lately, would be um, just simple things. So like be kind, um, keep going, and stay curious.
100%. But no, bro, that brings us to the end of the rapid fire questions. From
Thank
my
you.
side, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It was amazing, quite informative, and good luck to your further, career as it goes.
Yeah. Nah, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on, and it was fun to have a chat with you. I remember like a few weeks ago, you're like, "Oh, why don't you jump on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd actually be keen. I've never done something like this before, so thanks for the opportunity." And yeah, I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
No, no,
No,
no.
no,
But
no. Yeah, no.
hand over to
Yeah.
Rajat.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, completely. Like, we completely enjoyed it as well. And yeah, as Riji said, wish you all the success in your own clinic and hope your page continues to grow and hope the gym continues to grow and the clinic as well and hope everything.
yeah.
And thanks for all the knowledge that you imparted as well. I think it was a good, insightful experience from me and Rishi as well. So hope you enjoyed it.
No, I did enjoy it. Thank you. And if you guys wanted to chat about anything, feel free to just shoot me a message.
I think
Um,
we'll send you our injury list as well.
not a drama,
Yeah.
not a drama at all.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, to everyone else listening, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Yeah.